All right. Good evening, everyone. How are we? It is a Sunday evening, so thought I'd jump on and do a Q and A. I haven't quite loaded up everything I needed to, so I'm looking for something right now. So bear with me just 1 second while I grab this. Where is it? There we go. That's the one that I want. Okay, yes. So look, guys. Hope you all had a good week and a good weekend as well. I'm going to put maybe 40, 45 minutes on the clock. Happy to take any questions that you have around what's going on right now. I haven't really been consistent with videos this week just because the schedule has been so busy. And next week is a little busier, but I've preloaded and pre-prepped some videos anyway, so there'll be content coming out through the week. But yeah, this is an opportunity to answer some questions from you guys. There's lots going on, obviously, lots of talk around the Fed interest rates and inflation, as usual. And yeah, I'm sure there will be some questions. So feel free to get your questions into the comment box, and we will get to them as quickly as we possibly can. Let me just where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I haven't got it in here. I need to get it back later on. All right. So, in terms of news, I want to say thank you again. I know I've already done this, but I do need to say thank you because I've not yet had time to go through all of the comments and actually respond to each of the comments that have come through. But there's been a lot of support, a really good reception for the fact that I've got a book coming out in March. Just the people who have already pre-ordered, people have been so kind. People have been saying that they're going to order 2 copies, one for themselves, one to give away to a friend. People are saying they're going to order a physical copy and also an audio copy as well. The support's been really lovely. It's been great, and I'm very much appreciative for it. And so, this is just an opportunity for me to give back on a Sunday evening, and hopefully answer any questions that people have as well. I will pop the link in the description. Actually, I'll try and do it in the chat here. Actually, again, I am so disorganized, not anywhere near prepped. I was editing a video yesterday. Well, I edited the video, watching the video at the beginning of the week, sent it off, and just came back to do some finishing touches and realized that I'd lost all the files. So I've had to start from scratch on this video. Something that should have taken me maybe an hour has ended up taking me like 2.5 hours. So it's slightly put up my Sunday, to be honest, because I wasn't expecting that I would need to redo that entire video. Then obviously you're not just recording the video, also re-editing it as well. So a lot of the elements that I had pulled into it just didn't work anymore with the re-record that I did, and so now it's a different video, but it's kind of the same. But it's taken altogether another 4 hours to get to the point where it's all re-recorded and re-edited as it needed to be. So there we go. All right, cool. Questions, guys. Let's get them into the chat. We're also streaming live to Twitter as well. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Twitter, see if there's any questions that come over there. But if you have any questions, now will be the time for you to ask any questions that you have, depending on what's going on in the markets or anything like that at the moment. It is going to be over to you guys. If there are no questions, then I will log off early because there's lots of other things to do this evening as well. So let's give it a few minutes and see what we have in terms of questions. All right. All right, so there is. Bear me 1 second, guys. What's doing now? Okay, cool. Someone's asking here, what is my current position on starting up emergency funds? Look, everyone needs to have an emergency fund, right? If you haven't got one, you really, really do need one. I think the challenge a lot of the time for people is dealing with paying off debt at the same time as needing to build an emergency fund, and particularly where we're in a situation where prices have increased so much, there's obviously a squeeze on income. So that becomes a little bit more challenging. Um, I've always had a pretty decent emergency fund. I've still got one there. But if you haven't got one, you really need to have one. Ideally, before you start investing, before you start speculating on the markets, obviously. I know that sounds boring. And I know that that is, you would expect me to say that, but it is the truth. It gives you more confidence being able to invest in the market without having to access the money. But like I said, there's a lot of challenges for people at the moment. You need to have spare income, really, to build an emergency fund. If you don't have the spare income, it's hard to do. It's almost impossible to do, in fact, because you have to draw it from somewhere. And understanding how much you need in your emergency fund is also one element as well that you need to be clear on. Yes, obviously, you can do 6 times, 3 times, 2 times your monthly expenses, your essential expenses. But sometimes for some people it's too much, especially when you start getting into the region of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. People are looking at thousands and thousands of pounds. So you've got the mathematical approach to it, but you've also got the logical approach to it as well. And that's simply just asking yourself, look, how much would you feel comfortable having? If 200 quid gives you that kind of comfort, then you should have 200 quid. But it really depends on your personal circumstances and what's going on, really. But yeah, I think everyone should have an emergency fund. I've still got mine. It's still in an account, getting a little bit of interest. To be honest, I could invest it, but that would defeat the whole point of having an emergency fund, right? It's there for emergency. So yeah. Denise is asking, how long did it take to write the book? So the draft for the book, the first proposal for the book, when I wrote in at Christmas of 2021. So when the proposal went out early in 21, it took a while for publishers to actually pick it up, because what you do is you go to a literary agent. So my literary agent in this case was the Blair Partnership. They've done quite a lot of books, and they sent it out to publishers. We got a bite from publishers, and it's taken a good few months to actually write. I already had a bulk of the book already done anyway, but it's nice to work with editors on the book because they kind of give you a steer. Like I'm not a writer naturally, and so having an editor to kind of structure it for you and mold it into something that is readable first and foremost, because that's the most important quality in a book, has been very, very useful. But the first proposal went out in December 2021, so a long time. It's been in the work for a while. I mean, I came up with the concept of the book probably in summer 21, if I'm honest. So it's taken a long time to get to this stage now where it's ready to be released in March. Someone's asking here, if I'm only allowed to overpay a mortgage by 10% a year, is it better to hold 3 to 6 months of future payments in cash for emergencies and invest all other disposable income in safe ETFs, or just keep? Well, there are no safe ETFs, mate. All of them are going to be volatile. All of them will go up and down with the markets. I think it depends on where you are, mate, because I think at the end of the day, 10% of your mortgage is still a lot of money, mate, and you're saving yourself the interest. And particularly where we are right now, where interest rates are going to increase, it's not just about the interest that you're saving right now. When you come to remortgage in 6, 9, 12 months, 24 months time, you're going to be borrowing less. So if you're running this equation based on the interest rates right now, that's the wrong calculation to make, because it should be based on what interest rates are going to be, albeit we don't know what they are going to be. But let's just say, for example, you're currently fixed on a 1.49 that is going to end in 2-3 years time. Well, interest rates, according to the forecast by the Office of National Statistics, and all of the forecasts that we're seeing. And actually, let me see if I can actually get this forecast up so we can go back over this, because I covered this in a video a couple of weeks ago on the channel. But this is actually quite pertinent to this conversation that we're having right now. So the forecast for the UK right now, and interest rates. Where am I going? I want to add a screen, share screen. I want this one. Okay. So this is the forecast right now for interest rates in the UK. All right. So currently we're at, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Interest rates. Currently we're here, 3.5%. And we know that mortgage rates have increased um, quite significantly over the past, what, 12 months. Yeah. So this is where the bank rate is right now. This is where it's going to be at the end of Q4. So when you're talking about overpaying 10% on your mortgage, really you should be taking into consideration this forecast. What will mortgage rates be if the base rate, the Bank of England base rate ends up here? You could probably hazard a guess. I mean, most of the mortgage rates at the minute, if you're on a low loan to value, are probably popping up around about 4%. It is quite possible we see interest rates hit 5.5, maybe even 6. So if you're looking to overpay your mortgage, you should be taking that assumption into consideration, because in the future, if you pay off 10%, you're borrowing less at a higher rate of interest. And it's the difference between what you're borrowing by paying off that 10% and the future cost of that interest that is the right equation to be looking at, if that makes sense. So when you're saying, either put it into an emergency fund, interest rate is important, obviously. Will you get more of an interest rate on the savings account that you put the emergency fund in? And really, you should have a separate emergency fund and not just this one to go towards your mortgage, ideally, in an ideal world. And if you put it into an ETF, there is no such thing as a safe ETF. It's got to be volatile. And because we're going into a global recession right now, it is highly likely that you put money into that ETF and the values fall. And therefore, you find yourself in a position where you've lost money, where it could have been better placed into your mortgage, paying it off by 10%, because in the long run, it may save you on the interest payments because you're borrowing less because you paid off more. Um, that's a very, very nuanced. It includes a lot of numbers and assumptions, but it's worthwhile thinking of it in that way, because if you can work out, right, if I pay off this much, it's going to save me this much interest, under the assumption that interest rates are going to be this when you come to remortgage, at least you have some numbers that will help you guide where you need to be. But be mindful of whether you put it into an ETF and into the markets, mate. Look, if we don't know what's going to happen with the markets, we're going to go into a recession. We know that markets are down. I think they'll continue to fall. I think we're in for a rough, maybe 24 months at least with the market. So just be mindful of that as well. Someone saying here, you're also saying here, years of mortgage payments sitting in the bank ready to pay off as much as legally possible per year, even if it's 1,000. Their goal is to become mortgage free ASAP, not market gains. Yeah, I mean, so look, that's the most important thing. What is their goal? A lot of people will find more comfort in knowing that their mortgage is going to be paid off sooner, rather than knowing that they can make 10% on the markets. It's psychological at the end of the day, right? People value different things. Some people value their money growing, or the propensity for their money to grow at a certain rate. Other people value the certainty of knowing I paid this off my mortgage, therefore my mortgage is going to be paid off a lot sooner. You have to decide where your head's at for that, really, to be fair. If I was to set up a small online business as a private limited company, is it best to pay yourself as an income via dividends, or should it be via a business salary account? That you need to speak to an accountant, mate. You can pay yourself as an income, but obviously, if you're already employed, you have to declare that income. That can push up your tax bracket. You can pay yourself in dividends. The dividend allowance is going to be halved come April, from 5,000 to 2,500, I believe it is. Yeah, dividends allowance. Yeah, I think. Yeah, pretty sure. So you need to speak to an accountant, mate, because the equation that you need to work out here is: are you on the cusp of 40%, or are you comfortably in 20%? And if you're in 40%, there's quite a big jump before you get to the next level, right? Because the next level is 120, 125. So depending on what your earning is and where you are, that will determine how you should pay yourself. You can pay yourself in dividends, and I do that. I pay myself in dividends quite a bit, because it reduces my tax liability. But you really do need an accountant for that, mate. You really do need to see an accountant so they can assess it based on your income levels and your tax bracket. Annuity. Do you think annuity rates have peaked, or do you think that there are some more increases to come? It depends what happens with the rates generally. It is quite possible that they will still go up. I was having this conversation with someone on the Discovery call on Friday. We're talking about annuities and stuff. Annuities are great in pension planning, but you've got to remember with an annuity, you're giving up your asset, you're giving up your cash. So, for example, if you could get, a 2.5% or 3% return or promise on an annuity rate right now, and you're giving away £100,000, well, that's going to give you £3,000 a year in income until you die. And what people don't necessarily appreciate is that, at that rate, you've got to live 33 years to get your money back. I mean, people are living much, much longer, but at the same time, the odds are stacked in the favor of annuity providers when rates are really, really low. Now, if you're in your 40s, right, you could live to 90, so it could be a really, really good deal, right? And some of them can be inflation linked. But when when annuity rates, not interest rates, annuity rates are low, the odds are stacked in the favor of the annuity companies. And if you die early, you've lost the asset. You're giving up the asset the minute you hand it over. So it is quite possible that they will increase. It will be really depending on what happens. What I have been seeing is that financial advisors, when they're retirement planning, will tend to use a mixture of annuity and drawdown. So drawdown is just this fancy phrase for the money being invested in the markets, and it could be invested in a load of dividend bearing companies, right? And then the dividend payment basically provides the income, right? That's essentially what drawdown is. You're looking at the markets, you're managing risk, and you're investing with the specific goal to satisfy an income requirement. Some advisors will do half and half. So, for example, if someone has a decent pension pot, and let's just say they need £20,000 worth of income, then you're looking at the sources of income that are available. So, state pension should fill a big gap, right? State pension might fill a gap of maybe £10,000. Now you're looking at £10,000 to be provided from a client's own resources. Amongst their own resources, they may have a workplace pension. Let's just say that kicks out £5,000. Now we're at £15,000 from 20. So you now need to find £5,000. Now let's just say they have some personal pensions, a pot of money where they would like to guarantee three of that £5,000. Then they would use annuity to guarantee that £3,000 that they need, and then maybe draw down for the remaining 2,000. There are lots and lots of ways that they go about planning this and taking a hybrid approach. It's actually quite interesting. People think pensions are boring. I beg to differ. Pension planning is so fascinating because there are so many considerations and so many things that you have to think about. And when you're explaining this and walking a client through this, it's great to see the revelation of how things work a lot of the time. How they dawn on, so my income's coming from here, 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 and here. And when you're doing the yearly reviews with them as well, it's quite interesting because they get clue and start to understand what's going on. But yeah, that's a long-winded answer. I went on a bit of a tangent there, but I can talk about this kind of stuff and pensions for a very, very long time. It's quite exciting to me. Emmanuel's asking here, when did the idea of writing a book become a goal for you? 2020. When I started this in 2020, one of the things that I had in the back of my head was there were two big things. And actually, ironically, in 2022, in my goal setting book, I wrote down those two things. It was TV show, if I could be a regular on a TV show. I mean, to be fair, at the beginning of 2022, I knew that I was going to do TV because I got approached to be on Secret Spenders at the end of 2021 to replace somebody else. So I knew that was going to happen. And in my mind, I was like, okay, if I can do this one show, if I can get a regular slot on another show as a byproduct of that, that for me would be a really, really big win-win. The second one was to write the book. And the book has been something, since 2020. I didn't think it was going to happen last year, to be completely honest, but I had the idea summer 2021. I kind of knew loosely what I wanted the book to be about. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to be doing TV, so why not put it on my list of things, because you never know what's going to happen. And ironically, the editor of my book is a lady called Rose. Now, when Secret Spenders came out, I did Lorraine for maybe a month and a half. I was on Lorraine 6 or 7 times roughly. She saw me on Lorraine and she was like, "Oh, I would love to do a book with him." It just so happened that the proposal for my book came across her desk. So when she typed in my name into Google, she was like, "Ah, is that dude?" And so that really, really helped with getting the book across the line, because she had already seen me and had already kind of said, "Oh, I would love to do a book with this guy." So there was a coming together of all kinds of like circumstances and meeting the right people and having conversations with people that kind of led to this entire thing. I wish I could say it was all me, but it's that's not the truth, mate. There were a lot of things that came together for it to happen, and I'm thankful for it, because it's it's a blessing. It really, really is. It's a big tick in the box. Never thought it would happen. And I think for me, the most important thing is, look, we're only here for a very short period of time, and it doesn't matter what happens now. I could be gone in the next 2, 3 years. I've left something behind that I know is going to help people. And that for me is going to be my legacy. That book that will help people build and instill financial habits that have long lasting, compounding benefits. That's always been my motto. And so that's my little piece of Pete that I'll leave behind, regardless of what happens in the future. I truly believe in emergency fund. I've been working just over 10 years now, and from my second wages, I started saving £50. I'm so lucky I didn't have to use it. Listen, Lady D, none of what's happened in the last 3 years would have happened if I didn't have an emergency fund. Just wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been able to give this full tilt, undivided attention, and lean into it properly. Never would have been able to happen, because I would have needed to have worked to pay the bills. And that's the beauty of an emergency fund. It gives you a lifeline. It gives you freedom. It gives you the ability to make a choice to change things if you want to. And I'm just so thankful for it, mate. So I believe in emergency fund 100%. I talk a little bit about this in the book, actually. And part of the book is dedicated to this and how important it is in terms of giving yourself the ability to take that next step. And I share a lot of what happened and how it happened in the book as well. So if you haven't got an emergency fund, you definitely 100% need one. Annette, hi, I'm 43, work for the NHS. Would you advise to open another pension pot or invest in stocks, please? Yes. So the NHS pension is pretty good. So you can open another personal pension pot 100%. You can. I would encourage you to have a look at the NHS scheme. It depends on what part of the scheme you're on, though, because I know that the contribution rates are different depending on when you joined the service, how long you've been there for, so on and so forth. I wouldn't want to leave any money on the table. So try and get some information about what scheme you're on within NHS, and then see whether you're at the position where the contributions are as full as they can be, and if you were to pay more in, if it gives you more at the back end. If there isn't that much of a difference, then yeah, a personal pension pot could be worthwhile, but you have to do that first. You don't want to leave money on the table. And I say this to people who are just employed in normal businesses. If in a normal business you are in a pension scheme at work and they have this matching scheme where if you pay in 8%, we'll go in at 8% as well, it's free money. So before you go and put money into a personal pension, that should be the first thing that you have a look at. The same thing applies really with the NHS. It depends on what part of the scheme or what version of the scheme you're on, but it's normally quite good. But you can, but please tick that box first, I would say. Hey, Big, another big congratulations on the book. Thank you. Can't wait to read it. Was just wondering if you're still involved in with Eureka, as I haven't heard much about it in a while. Yes, Eureka's still there. We're still waiting on permissions from the FCA. The FCA have just getting permissions is so difficult, and that's why originally when so what typically happens is when you set up a company, or even if you want to be a financial advisor, what people typically do is they go in as an appointed representative of a bigger company. So this big company has all of the permissions. They've gone through all the jumping through the hoops and all that kind of stuff, and then you're an appointed representative under that firm, and that means that you get to use that company's license, those that company's permissions. But what they basically do is they then have compliance um, oversight over the things that you do. So when Eureka was initially set up, we were under a company for compliance purposes, but they were very restricting over, right, okay, we want to do a communication. This is where it can get really petty, and why I stepped away from being it as a financial advisor, because the truth is, if I was still practice as a financial advisor, half the stuff I say on these live streams, or half the stuff that I say in videos, would be scrutinized. You can't say that because it could be interpreted as this. Compliance is a real big thing in financial services, and it is 100% needed, but it does stifle the ability to pass information on and to educate people, because of people. If it's deemed as implied advice, it makes you liable, essentially. So initially, Eureka was under a company, and basically they were like, "Well, look, you can't do this and you can't do that," and it was stifling some of the creative ideas that we had. So we decided to go for direct authorization, and that's what we're still waiting on. Unfortunately, it's still there. Dividend allowance 2K. Actually, yeah, that's right. Jesus Christ, it's going down to £1,000. You know what? It is absolutely mad, because it has gone from 7K to 5K. Yeah, no, it's 2K. It's 2K currently. Going down to £1,000 in April, then 500 quid. I mean, I I had a conversation with one of my friends who also runs a business, and he's just like, you take a risk setting up and building your own business as it is, and the risk is huge, mate. A lot of businesses fail in the first 1 to 2, 3 years. I'm in my third year right now. I mean, there is still a possibility that my business fails, um, and so it's a huge risk. And a lot of the time, the risk comes at the expense of pension contribution. So I don't pay as much into my pension as I should do, because I'm investing into my business. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration. And you're paying corporation tax, you're paying VAT, and obviously, yeah, you can claim back the VAT and all that kind of stuff. But those kind of things do impact what the shape of your business and your expenses. And when you get to a certain level, okay, it becomes comfortable. But for people who are just starting out, it can be really difficult. And to have dividend allowance decimated in the way that it has been, it definitely puts the screws on business. But many will argue that we need it for the economy. Productivity is going to be a really big issue moving forward. And can we get out of this slump? Can we get out of this recession? Can we improve productivity? Because that is a big issue right now, massive issue right now. Congratulations again, Peter, on the book. My question is, how did you go about in writing to getting published? Where do you begin writing a book? Okay, really good question, actually. So basically, so what happened was, I used to do music. So I have a friend who I did music with years and years and years ago. We used to produce and do shows together. He's still in music, basically. And I had I caught up with him one afternoon, and he goes, "Oh, you should meet Amelia." I met Amelia. Amelia knows someone named Jack. Jack runs a PR company, essentially. So Jack he's got really good connections in the industry. Jack knows a guy called Michael Foster. Now, Michael Foster used to look after the likes of Chris Evans, Liz Hurley, Hugh Grant. And Jack called me one day and goes, "Michael would love to have a conversation with you. He likes what you're about. He loves what you're doing. He thinks that you need to think bigger." Right. So I had a meeting with Michael, and he's the one who planted the seed. This was at the beginning, beginning part of 2022. No, or was it back end of 2021? No, back end of 2021. And he was like, "Oh, you should write a book." And he said, "I'll introduce you to a few people." So they introduced me to the Blair Partnership. Had a meeting with them. I signed with them for them to represent me to get a book deal. So when I'd written the draft, the proposal for the book, and in the proposal, what you basically do is you say, right, this is the synopsis of the book. This is who it's for. This is what it's going to say. And then you give them sample chapters as well. So you break down each, like a chapter. You say, right, this is what a chapter is going to read like. You send it to your literary agent. In my case, it's the Blair Partnership. They then send it out to all of the publishers. So the publishers will have a look at it and they will say, we like it or we don't like it. I asked for the feedback for the publishers who passed on the book. Some of them were like, look, finance books don't tend to do that well. We've already had one. It didn't do well at all. So we don't really want to take another one. The concept's really good, but actually it's not our kind of subject matter. But then it got to HarperCollins and it got to Rose. And like I said, Rose saw me on Lorraine. So Rose was like, actually, we would love to meet you. And it just so happens that it's quite topical right now, right? The stuff that I'm talking about in the book is all about financial habits, things that we should have been taught in school. But more importantly, it's my journey through realizing these things and fumbling, trial and error, getting these things implemented into my own finances so that I can relay in the book the practicalities of making it happen. And that's where I feel that my book is different. It's not about reading a book for the information, because a lot of the time it's a lot of regurgitated information and a lot of the stuff is just platitudes. It's just, yeah, it makes sense, but so what, right? In my book, I wanted to make sure that I was able to bring to the table some financial planning strategies. How, as a financial advisor, would I do this with a client? So throughout the exercise, throughout the book, there are tasks that you have to complete, and there is a big one at the beginning that you have to complete. And as we go through the financial principles and how important they are and how they interconnect with each other, I'm constantly referring people back to the task at the beginning of the book and the task through the book to make sure that people are clear on why each principle is really, really important. And so I'm excited for people to get hold of it and to hear feedback. It isn't complicated. It isn't complicated language. It's really, really, really simple, dumbed down, easy to understand, easy to implement. But the process for it has been quite long. It's been very, very stressful. I had a deadline to get it in before Christmas on December the 16th. And we were running edits all the way up until the 29th of December. So I had no Christmas. I had no New Year. I'm actually knackered right now because I've not had a break. I've not had a break at all. I'm not going to have a break now, probably till April, because I'm just so busy and booked with things. And so it's been a lot of work getting it to the stage where it is. It's going to be a physical paperback. It's going to be an ebook, and it's also going to be an audiobook as well. So people can get it across three formats essentially, which I'm really, really excited for. And yeah, look, I'll tell you guys the big goal because I think it is about putting it out there. I've got a goal setting workshop with 25 people on the 24th, which is in a week and a half's time, and we're going to set our goals for this year together. And as part of that, we are going to share our goals with each other in this group. And one of my goals for this book is very, very big and very, very audacious. But when I put this down on the list for 2022, regular slot on TV, I didn't know how that was going to happen. That's very audacious to write a book and actually get a book deal. I didn't know that it was going to happen. Very, very audacious. And so both of those things happened. And so the goal for the book for this year is to basically get it on the bestsellers list. And to do that, I need 3,000 copies sold in pre-order the first week. It is huge. And people will be like, oh, you can do that, Pete. It's nothing. Like, literally, bigger names than me don't sell 3,000 books first week. They just don't. And so I've got no control over it. I'm going to talk about it a lot because this is the first time in 3 years I actually have a product to sell to people. where there's going to be an exchange of value. Um, and I think because it's a book and because there's a lot of practical stuff in there that will help people, it doesn't matter whether you're 43, whether you're 23, whether you're 18, whether you're 65. I mean, this will do wonders for people who have kids who are just going into their first job, or, grandparents who want to, talk to their grandchildren about money matters and giving them the education. This will do wonders for them, because the whole reason why I started this, to have conversations with people that I wish someone had with me when I was in my 20s. So for that age demographic, it's going to work. And the beautiful thing about the book is, because it's a formula, you can take any section of the 5 formula parts of the formula and just focus on that one thing. You can come back, you have that in place, work on the next thing, or you could just pick it according to your liking. I advise running through the book and following the formula, because it's intentional. There's a reason why it's been formulated in that way. But it's I'm biased because I wrote it, right? And I've been working on it for a very, very long time. But I really do think it will make a massive, massive difference to people. And so I'm hoping that 3,000, pre-orders is possible. I will definitely push for it. But like I said, I can't do it on my own. I need help to be able to do that. So hopefully people who watch the channel and listen to the podcast and follow me on Instagram and maybe see me on TV will pick it up and really, really support and run with it. It's definitely needed. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I have popped the link in the chat here. It's an Amazon link. You can pre-order it. People have been asking about book signings. I will try to do one, but the trouble with a book signing is that oftentimes book signings are typically done by big celebrities, because they know that they rock up to a place, they'll have like 1,000 people turn up, and that makes it worthwhile for the book retailers because they're selling the books. I'm not a big celebrity. My profile is not large. And so I want to do a book signing. But if I go somewhere and 50 people turn up, will they be like, well, this wasn't worthwhile? Because bearing in mind, they have to organize it, it's going to cost them money. So it has to make sense from a financial point of view. I'd love to do one, but I just don't know whether it's feasible at this point. Hi, Pete. I'm about to retire end of March this year, 63 years old. Luckily, I've got 160K cash to deal with. Oh, and DB pension, and very, very nice. After a big spend, still have 100K left. What to do with it? Okay. Without knowing your specific circumstances, Larry, it's hard for me to say. I'm hoping, or I'm going to make some assumptions here. If your DB pension covers all of your expenditure, all of your income requirement, then you're in a really sweet position. 100K is a lot of money. I mean, you do need a portion of that set aside for emergencies. Obviously, you get to decide how much that is. It might be 20K, 30K, whatever. It depends also what your appetite is. I mean, look, you can invest it, but the markets right now are pretty volatile, and you've got to remember you need to put that money in for a long time. So that may not necessarily be to your liking. So you may want to have a look at, either fixed rate bonds on the high street. That is, there are some fixed rate bonds out there. I was speaking to someone on Friday. They were saying they got a fixed rate bond for like 4.5% for 2 years. So that's a decent return over that period of time. So you may decide to put it in something like that, depending on your appetite. It really depends on where you are in your circumstances, mate, because there's lots you could do with it. It's all just going to be about what is going to be right for you ultimately. But it sounds like you're in a good position, mate. Like, having DB pension, I mean, those things are gold dust now. I wish I had one, but I don't. And stupidly, at the beginning of my career, I worked in a bank that actually had a DB pension, but I didn't know what a DB pension was, so I didn't pay into one. And now, as an adult, I'm kicking myself thinking, you fucking idiot, you should have paid into this pension, because it is a defined benefit. And what they did was, well, we can give you the money or you can pay into a pension. That was the choice I was given. You can pay into this pension or we give you the cash. I'm 22, 23, well, actually maybe a little bit older than that, 25, 26, 27. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the money, because like, it's beer money, right? How stupid. How stupid was I? But this goes to the fact that I didn't understand, and they didn't explain what it was. So I think sounds like you're in a really good position, mate. But It really depends on your personal circumstances. It's people like yourself that I generally do coaching with, just to give a little bit of clarity and stuff. Yeah, I know that's not really an answer. There's a lot of variables in there, but maybe at least have a look at, high street fixed rate bonds, that kind of stuff, because those will just be no risk. You know what the outcome is going to be. Just make sure you're not putting in too much where, you need to get into it and have to pay a penalty. So that's why you should probably hold some of it aside. Hi Pete, I'm about to, I've just read that one. Where are we going? Penguin 91. I work for NHS, but I don't think I will stay with NHS long enough to build up a defined benefit pension. So I have opted out. Do you agree? I think no matter how long you're there for, you need to opt in and you need to build something up. It doesn't matter whether it's only £50 a month, mate. It's going to be a guaranteed piece of income that you could use later on. So I would opt back in, and for the time that you're there, just have that accrue, have it build up. And when you leave, go on to something else. But because it is a guaranteed pension, it has a guaranteed element, you should not overlook it. You should definitely opt back in, mate. I'm just trying to find where I am. Bear me 1 second. I've just gone down. I've gone way too far. Okay. I didn't quite realize there were this many questions on here. There's a lot. Okay, I need to speed this up. Sorry, guys. Um, GT Playboy, thank you very, very much, mate. Really, honestly, I do appreciate it. For everyone who does buy a book, so this is, like I said, I want to do a book signing, but it's questionable whether I'll be able to do one based on my profile and all that, and whether it will be worthwhile or not. But what I am willing to do is, obviously, I'm in London quite a lot. For people who live in London, or if I get a sense of where people live, so I'm in Leeds every Thursday. So that could be something where if you bought the book and you're in Leeds, I would happily do a meetup, sign all the books, do the same thing for people in London. So thank you very much, mate. Really, I appreciate it. Thanks for replying my annuity question. I have two small DB pensions in payment, so maybe drawdown will probably be okay for my DC pot when I take the state pension into consideration from 2031. Yeah, so if you've got two small DBs, bearing in mind they're going to be inflation linked and they're going to guarantee you an income for life. If you've got a DC, you could have a look at a split of an annuity or drawdown. Again, you've got to be mindful that you're giving away the asset, the cash, for an annuity. Drawdown will give you a little bit more flexibility, because within drawdown, the money's invested. And if it does really well, you can take more income. If you have poor years, depending on how much state pension you've accumulated, you're getting full state pension, that is, you can decide to flex what income you take accordingly, right? So yeah, I think you'll be in a good position. But if you are thinking about an annuity, just think about it really, really carefully, very, very carefully, because you're giving away the asset. But if you've got, stamp pension coming in 2031, I wonder whether you've done any cash flow modeling, because cash flow modeling will probably help you see the shape of your income as you retire, right? So with cash flow modeling, what a financial advisor and what I used to do is, right, we'll have a look at where you are right now, what income you need, and then we will cash flow based on, right, state pension is going to come in here. This is the income that you're getting from a defined benefit. This is what we can expect from your defined contributions. And that will give you an idea of the shape of your income. So you might front load your income using your DBs and using your DC pension pot, right? So you might front load all of that income using those two, knowing that you'll step off the gas when state pension kicks in 2031. So cash flow modeling would probably help you quite a bit, because it will help you understand the shape of that income. But if you haven't already done that, definitely consider doing it. If you have a financial advisor, ask them, because financial advisors really are the only people that can do that for you. I mean, I coach people here and there, depending on my schedule, because like time sometimes gets in the way. And cash flow modeling software is it's expensive. I looked at it because I was like, okay, if I do more coaching, maybe people might actually find it beneficial. But it's expensive. It's really, really expensive, and that's why a lot of financial advisor firms will use it, because these are guys who have massive companies and they can afford the licenses on those things. It's eye watering when you look at some of them. It's staggering, but hopefully that helps, mate. Ryan, let's have a look at this. What investment vehicles would you recommend, or companies you trust with long-term investments such as stocks and funds? Congratulations with your book. Looking forward to reading it. Thanks. Um, Investment vehicles would you recommend, or companies you trust with long-term investments such as stocks and funds? So I'm guessing you're talking about actual companies, right? So I got a little bit of stick the last Q&A that I did, because I mentioned the likes of Wealthify and I mentioned Money Farm. Someone got in the comment section telling me how can I recommend or even talk about those kind of companies, blah, 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 blah. Look, there are different ways in which you can invest. You can go and pick stocks on your own. Good luck if you don't know what you're doing, though. All right. And I'm really, really honest with people. I don't try to blow smoke up people's asses, or say that this will be completely fine when I know it's not going to be. If you're the kind of person that you want to invest, and it sounds like you just want to be able to give someone some money and let them do the things for you, then for me, the two that I know very, very well, because I spent a considerable amount of time with them and I have money with them, Money Farm and Wealthify. They are kind of the same, but they're a little different. Money Farm has a full actively managed operation. So you put the money in, it's not passively managed, where they put the money in and just see what happens. It will track the S&P 500, no intervention whatsoever. They have people who actually look at it every single day and really make sure that they are best positioned and your money is working as hard as possible. Wealthify doesn't have as active an approach. Now, the downside with both of them is they are expensive. They're going to be way more expensive than if you use Vanguard. So Vanguard you can use, and I've got money with Vanguard as well, but you have to know what index funds and ETFs you're picking. So do you want, say, for example, the VWRL, which is a global one, which is actually pretty good, but if you buy it, you still need to be able to monitor it on a year-to-year basis. If you have time and you've got the acumen to do that, by all means, Vanguard will be great for you, because low cost. And the reality is, these other companies will probably buy some of those Vanguard funds anyway. But if you're on the flip side, where it's like, actually, you know what? You're busy with work, busy with like family, busy with other stuff. You don't want to look at it every single year. You just want someone else to do it. Then those are probably the two that I would say that I know well enough that will do a good job for you. Now, I don't have their links in the description to any of my videos. Wealthify sponsored the channel for the first, I think, 4 or 5 months of last year. That's it. I don't have their links in my description, so I don't get any money by mentioning these two at all, but I do have money with them, and I know that they do a good job. At least they've had good returns for me, and that's why I mention them. But you can use the likes of Vanguard as well, where I've also got money with, but there are different providers. But I think if I'm ever going to say, right, this company will be good, I won't do it if I haven't spoken or I don't kind of know the people behind the business. And the guys in Wealthify specifically are actually very, very good. Like, what you see on the tin, it translates through the entire business with them, and they're very, very good at what they do. They really, really are. So yeah. Oh yeah, look, let me just remind you, smash the like button, peeps. Thanks, GC. Thank you for that. Yeah, we've only got 23 likes. There we go. I thought 4 there. Carly's here as well. How you doing, Carly? Yeah, look, let's get these likes up a little bit. Actually, I'm over time, but let's keep going, because I know that there's still quite a lot of questions that I've not actually got to. So please, let's get these likes up to maybe 30, 35. We just need like 11 more if possible. Right, so let me just see where I was. We'll power through these. Denise, God bless you. You will be here to see many, many fruits of your labor. You will not die young in Jesus' name. Oh, thank you very, very much. Listen, I'm 43 now, so I'm quite aware about my own mortality. I guess that kind of transforms the way you think about things, and the way you it definitely has impacted the things that I'm doing, for sure, 100%. Because I think it is about impact, and it is about helping people. And my journey has been quite an interesting one. And believe me, I talk a lot about it in the book, but at the time, at the time, it wasn't fun. I can look back now and be like, oh yeah, that was cool. Well, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. Being homeless was not fucking cool. But it did teach me a lot. And it has helped me be who I am today. And I'm happy about that. And so when I look back at it, I can now say that it has been a beautiful journey up until now. And I think that for me is a big realization. And I can say that now in hindsight because things have worked out okay, right? And so what I want to do is, in legacy, leave something behind that people will be able to benefit from and will always be here and will always be able to reference to, but also use my story to inspire the younger generation behind me to let them know, like, I don't have a university degree. I was fostered from 3 months to 8 years old. Came back to this country with 50 quid in my pocket. Went back to my foster parents who hadn't heard from me in 10 years. I ended up homeless, sleeping on the streets, sleeping in hostels in the end. And even without a university degree, I've managed to do all this stuff and hard work, determination, not saying, not giving up and having this never die attitude is what's helped me. Yes, I've had help along the way because it's not all me. I've had mentors, I've had people who are sponsored, who have seen something in me and given me a chance. But you still have to take that first step. You still have to be audacious enough to put yourself forward and actually have the courage to look beyond the circumstances that you're seeing in front of you. I remember when I was in Nigeria, all I was looking out at was bush, literally, and a British Airways flight. Two, was it two or three? There were two flights, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, used to fly over my house, British Airways. And I always remember, thinking I want to get on that plane and want to get back to the UK. If I literally allowed myself to fall in on myself and think there is no way out of this bush, I wouldn't be here today. So mental fortitude has a lot to do with it. And that's kind of the stuff that I really want to be able to kind of use my voice to amplify so that people can find purpose, find hope in their situation and not necessarily succumb to the negativity that they see around them. And it's hard. It's not easy. It is difficult. But the more you see examples of what is possible, the more faith, the more confidence you have that you can walk that path and you can replicate or at least do something along the same lines as that person. That's what I'm here for. It's the reason why the name of the channel has changed a little bit, because I feel like conversation of money, yes, we talk about money and it is very, very important, but there are a lot of life lessons that I've learned that I feel that I could share on this platform. Certainly, when it comes to climbing the corporate ladder, 5 years, 5 promotions in a cutthroat Fortune 100 company in Canary Wharf, I learned a ton about myself, about how you conduct yourself in business, how relationships are so important. And I'm not the type of person that kisses ass. I don't do that. But you can forge relationships in a way where you're not kissing ass, but you're putting forth your principles, and people see you for what those principles represent and what they mean to you, and that has real value. It really, really does. And that's the kind of stuff I want to be able to talk about more on this channel, because I think that, it will be helpful at some point. See, Carly saying, I'm going to max out at work. And I know that, Carly, you did increase your payments into your pension, because Carly and I speak quite a bit. I know that she has already increased, and she's sitting in a pretty good position right now. Ross, I'm starting to save for my house deposit after paying off my debt. And mate, listen, bravo. Seriously, bravo. It doesn't matter whether you're 40 or not, mate. I'm 43. It doesn't matter when you start. It's where you end up and the progress that you make that matters. If I invest the allowance each year in a LISA and don't use it for a house deposit, would I lose much if I needed to take it out? Yes, you would. So within a lifetime ISA, you're going to get 25% of the contribution that you make. So for example, if you paid £1,000, you're going to get 250 quid from the government. Now, if you don't use it for a house purchase, you have to give back that 25%. But here's the kicker. You have to give back 25% of the value of your account. All right. So let's just say you put 4,000 in across 2 years, right? So £8,000, right? So you're going to get £2,000 free. So that would be £10,000, right? Now let's just say you had it in a, I'm just going to call it a cash ISA, right? And let's just say over the 2 years, you then had £10,100 as a balance of your cash lifetime ISA. You have to give back 25% of 10,100. So essentially, you'll be giving back what am I doing? 2,525. So you received £2,000, but you're giving back a little bit more. Let me just make sure that's right. 10,100 was the example, times 25%. Yeah, so you're going to be giving back £2,525. So it's more. So just be mindful, and you kind of need to know and make up your mind from the outset. It can be very, very difficult. The thing is, mate, and I'm just thinking about this now. The criteria for a lifetime ISA is 39.40. So actually, you need to open one literally immediately, because if you go 41, mate, you can't open it. You won't be able to use lifetime ISA. Yeah, so that's criteria getting in the way there, mate. There aren't really that many other accounts that will help you on a house deposit. Having said that, though, there are developers that have schemes to help with your deposit now. That a lot of them have deposit boosters. So by the time you're ready to purchase your house, they may or may not be available. But definitely immediately go and open a lifetime ISA, just so that you don't cross that eligibility threshold. But when you come around to buying, it's likely that there will be another scheme, or the developers will have something for you as well. So yeah, still a good place, mate. Seriously, no, it doesn't matter whether you're 40 or 35. Trust me, I've got a friend in Tunbridge Wells. He's just bought a place, and he's got a family of 4. He's just managed to pay off all of his debts to get on the poverty ladder, and it took him years to do it. But I tell you what, now his mindset and he just feels very differently about things, and it's been really, really nice to see, because we spoke about it for a lot for 3-4 years in the run up to this, how he's going to pay down the debt and what he needs to do. And and I would always say to him, look, when you get there, when you finally get the house, mate, it's a light bulb goes off, and you've still got that to come, mate, and it's very, very, very exciting. And don't lose sight of that end goal, and enjoy the journey there, because you're going to learn a lot and you'll develop a lot as well. Walter, thanks for answering the question. No problem, mate. Duncan's got a question here. Hi, Pete. I'm in 2 minds whether to put £500 a month into S&P 500 every payday, or wait till the end of the year, or put £6,000 into different stocks if market is lower. I emphasize if. Okay, so look, this is where we talk about pound cost averaging, right? This is where that comes into play. We don't know what's going to happen. So you could put £6,000 in as a lump sum, and the numbers will tell you. So we know that if you look at the numbers, a lump sum investment will typically always do better than a monthly incremental contribution into a pension pot, into an investment. Doesn't matter if it's a pension or not, right? But time in the market is the most important thing. So look, you've got to appreciate, look, the S&P 500 is going through a little bit of a difficult time right now. There's stuff going on in the States, in the Senate. So the Republicans, taking the House, I think it is now. They've gained a lot of power. It is very, very likely, and there are murmurs of this, and I can't even believe that this is even a conversation that they would be having in the States right now. But they're petrified of what's going to happen when they get round to actually approving the next budget round. Because if you look at the Republicans and the Democrats over the past 2-3 years, you get to the point in the year where they need to renew their budget for the year, and the Republicans have been happy for everything to just close down. Default, we don't care. And there is a real fear right now with what's happened this past week and a half, 2 weeks, that the Republicans will basically make sure that the economy that in America breaks down, and they will happily default on their debts. If that happens, that means I don't even want to think about it, mate. the US has never defaulted on its debt. And if it does, it will send ripples through the market. So you have to appreciate that those kind of things are possible, especially if you're looking to go into the S&P 500, because it is a real possibility. Will it happen? We don't know. But I say that because time in the market is the most important thing. If you get in now, across the course of your investment, if you're investing for the long term, you'll be fine. But you have to sit with the idea that, look, you know what, it could go down because the Republicans might be idiots and they might not reconcile their differences and they might just plunge everything into turmoil. Will they do that? I don't think they will. If they did, it would be unthinkable, personally. But there is a real fear that that might actually happen. So you have to appreciate that. You could wait until you got £6,000 in, but then markets could surge. It's really all about what do you feel you want to do? Because at the end of the day, there are so many logical and practical. Well, I wouldn't say logical or practical. Logical, yes, because what is the logic of the market, right? But ultimately, what would help you sleep best at night? Would it be holding the £500, accumulating £6,000 and investing into the market and seeing what happens at that time? Or is it, you know what, I just want to invest on a monthly basis and just throw the money in and I'm happy to pound cost average? Because there is benefit in pound cost averaging, mate. If the market's falling, you're buying more stocks as the market's falling because you're getting more for the 500 quid that you're putting in. That in itself is a great thing. When the market starts to pick up again, you're really going to benefit because you've bought so much low at a discounted price. And that's the whole point, right? Buying low, selling high. So you've got that equation, but you have to be able to stomach what happens between you investing and the market taking an uptick. So psychologically, you have to be really, really mentally strong. I talk about this in the book as well. It's one of the biggest thing that we struggle with as investors is this. It's so hard. Even now, I look at some of my holdings and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Particularly when I start looking at some of like the crypto and individual stocks that I've got. I'm like, nah, why did I do this? Like I did all the research and I thought, this is good. This is a good look, but who foresaw any of this coming along? Who foresaw Bitcoin crashing? Who foresaw, Tesla being in turmoil? Who foresaw any of this? We just don't know. And so you need to think about diversification. Putting it into the S&P 500, yeah, it's great. 500 biggest companies in the world, but that is US mainly. Yes, a lot of the companies are international, but geographically you've got geographical risk there. So spreading it, really, really important. There's a lot to think about there, mate. And there's a lot to consider. But ultimately, the right answer is going to be the one that helps you sleep best at night, mate. And that should be the thing that you do. Yes, Penguin just saying there in reaction to Ross's question, that is right. You get taxed 25% balance on your lifetime ISA. Food Dweller, how you doing? There's a good conversation going on here as well, back and forth between people, which I love to see. Diana, I can't wait to see you on the 24th. I really, really can't. Really looking forward to getting you in the goal setting workshop. Peter, can I use my lifetime ISA for property as a first time buyer alongside with retirement, or do I need to select one of those two options? Thank you. You can use a lifetime ISA for both. So it's either you're using it for a house purchase as a first-time buyer or for retirement, pension planning. So you don't have to choose from the outset. It's whatever transpires first. So if you buy property first, great. If you retire first, great. Although obviously you can't, you've got age limits of retirement, right? So it's making sure that you understand what the age limits are for retirement on a lifetime ISA, but you can use it for both without question. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Adama, local government pension, a DB. It's a local government. So if you're civil service, you do have it is a guaranteed pension. It's DB pension per se. So if you're a civil servant, all civil servants have a guaranteed element to their pension. Evening, Peter. I'm a big Audible fan. Are you reading your book on Audible? Yes, I am. I am the one who's going to be reading the book, narrating the book. Um, I had the choice of getting someone else to do it, but I'm like, no. I like trust me. I came across a finance book, and I'm not going to mention which one it was. And there's an audio book to it, and it was so fucking boring. It was so drab, and I was like, I cannot. I wouldn't be able to listen to it. And I love like financial topics. I just wouldn't. It was very enunciated and it was slow. And I was just like, oh my Jesus Christ. Like seriously? Like I can't do that. So I want to make it as interesting as possible. You're going to hear my enthusiasm when it's out. You'll hear the inflection in my voice, and you'll see when I'm getting really passionate about certain things. I think that's what you need. Like, especially if you're in a car or in a gym, like you don't want to listen to a money financial book and have it be as boring as you expect it to be. It needs to be interesting, and so you know I hope to bring that to it as well. And I guess the proof is going to be in the pudding. But yes, I will be narrating the book myself because I could not stomach the thought of somebody else doing it for me. Absolutely not. Someone's asking here, would I ever overpay my mortgage or put money into an ISA? Okay, so really good question here. So would I? So currently, so my mortgage is relatively small. I don't have any other debt, so I could overpay the mortgage if I wanted to. But there are I need money within a relatively short period of time. So I've been putting money aside towards that one goal. And that's actually, if you've been following me for a while, you know that that's been in the background. And it has actually been one of the factors that I've been considering when I've been investing money as well. So I know that I need X money within the X amount of months, and that has been my priority. The mortgage is always going to be paid at the end of the day, and even if and when we do move, it will be rented out. So I will get an income from that, and it's the mortgage is relatively small anyway. So at the moment, for me, overpaying my mortgage isn't one of my priorities. It's about having this cash available so that I can move on and do something else later on in the year. But there are a lot of other variables that need to come into place for this to happen. But as far as the plan's concerned, the funds are there to make it happen if certain things fall into place. And we'll find out in the next 3 to 4 5 months or not. But if that didn't happen, then I could be like, you know what, I've got a chunk of cash here and I have two choices. I either pay off this mortgage or I buy to let properties. That's my thinking. So I'm not focusing necessarily on overpaying my mortgage at this point in time, although it could be helpful. But for my personal circumstances and what I personally want to achieve over the next year or so, it's not my key priority. But yeah, I do put money into ISAs as well. And I think it's really, really important to just know, like, you know, this is about this is about personal finance is personal. So what works for me is not going to work for somebody else, and what works for this person down the road is definitely not going to work for me or for you. It's all about understanding some of the moving parts that are involved in this so that you can make the best decision for you based on your circumstances. That's where education comes into the equation, which is why I do a lot of these Q&As and talk about stuff, and I try to make it relevant all the time. So okay, this is a really good question from Scott. What's my view on life, critical illness, income protection, benefit insurances when getting a mortgage as a single person with no dependents? Okay, so if you're getting a mortgage, okay, the one insurance you're going to need building insurance because it's going to be part of the mortgage contract. Now, if you don't have dependents, life insurance, critical illness, you can question, because the beneficiaries of those two things will be wife, children. And if you haven't got any of that, or you haven't got a partner, then you can question whether or not they're applicable. Having said that, though, the earlier or the younger you are when you take life insurance and critical illness, the cheaper it is. So it's worthwhile having a look at. Income protection will benefit you directly, because income protection is, if you have an accident, you're unable to work, income protection is going to replace your salary. So, for example, a lot of people who had income protection, COVID, were laughing because they would have had 75% of their monthly pay, their monthly salary paid to them for the entire duration of lockdown. Think about that. That's real peace of mind. So income protection is likely to benefit you directly because it will pay out if you are unable to work, and it will essentially keep the roof over your head, pay the mortgage for you and your bills and all the other stuff you've got to pay for. Now, with income protection, guess what? It doesn't cover pandemics because they've written that out of the insurance policy now with the exclusions, and it's in their terms and conditions. So I would say out of the three that you're mentioning there, you should definitely have a look at income protection. Just speak to a protection advisor. Please just don't go and buy it off moneysupermarket.com. Please don't do that, because a lot of these insurance policies have exclusions. They'll say we won't pay out under this, and it's in the fine print. So unless you're willing to sit there and go through the entire fine print, please don't go and get it off Money Supermarket. Go and find a protection advisor. If you need me to refer you to someone, I know a couple of people who are really, really good, I can introduce you. It won't cost you a thing to speak to them. They will only get paid if they place an insurance policy for you. But the job of a protection advisor is to help you source the best policy, help you understand what the exclusions are, and they will go through a full questionnaire with you and identify whether there are any exclusions that need to be aware of, and they go and find the best priced one for you. You probably want to use them. That would be my guidance to you. Go and see a protection advisor to make sure you get the right one. For life and critical illness, like I said, you haven't got dependents, so you haven't really got anyone for this to benefit, but you probably will have kids. You probably will get married and have a partner at some point in the future. So having it now means that you'll be able to source it at a cheaper price than if you did it in 5 years' time. You're going to be 5 years older, mate. The price will increase. If you get it now with the view that, okay, look, you're going to have kids in the future, you're going to have wife in the future, you can just add them to the policy as beneficiaries, and you can keep the cost to the levels that they're at right now, in opposed to waiting 5 years when the prices have gone up. Oh, thanks for this. Denise, you're so amazing and inspiring. Thank you for sharing. God bless you. Thank you very much. Um, Deb, let's have a look. Have you visited Nigeria since you left? If not, would like to. I've been back. I've been back. I went back in 2000 and it was a year or two before I moved to London, back to London to work in Canary Wharf. So probably 2011, 2010 was the last time I've been back. Haven't been back since. Would I go back? I really don't know. Look, my background is very, very kind of like, it's very unusual. Like, I was fostered from 3 months to 8 years old. I knew my real family, my mum, my dad, my brothers, really for 10 years. I came back when I was 18. I've been on my own since I was 18. And during that time, I've been homeless. There's a lot of stuff that's happened. I don't have that traditional sense of family. All of them are over there. I'm the only one that's here. Well, I've got a brother in France. My immediate brother's in France. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him. So there isn't really the best relationship there. It's something that I do need to fix. But it's easier said than done. I'm 43. The formative years, they weren't there. And they only remember me from when I was like, 8 years old. I was a kid. And I left them 17, 18. They only knew me for that period of time. My formative years, where I really became me, the things that forged me, they weren't there for. So, yeah. Would I go back? I don't have any reason to, if that makes any sense. Doesn't mean I wouldn't want to. I'd definitely love to retrace my steps at some point and really kind of like take it all in. But that would have to, I don't know how that would happen, if I'm honest. I don't know how it would happen. I don't know under what circumstances it would happen. But I'm not completely closed off to it, I think. Good, Ross. Thank you very much for this, mate. Good that you got some value from it. And Manny's asking also, if I start a lifetime ISA, you can't use it for a house? Yeah, that's right. So you have to hold the lifetime ISA for 12 months. So you need to be aware of that as well. So you can't just, put 4K in and then get, £1,000 from the government and buy it in 6 months. You've got to hold it for the 12-month period. Um, well, I'm just scanning right now to see what other questions we have in here. This is a good one. Will they raise the ISA limit? This should increase with inflation. I mean, really, really good question. I don't know that they will. There are calls for it, to be honest. There's calls for the government to do a lot of things, mate. But you got to remember, like 20 grand a year, that bypasses a lot of tax. And where we are right now, the government needs as much in a tax take as they possibly can. So I don't think they will. There is a real risk that they actually reduce it if things don't get better. There's a real risk that they will actually reduce the ISA limit. It will take courage, it will take balls for one of them to do it, but I don't think they will reduce it. I mean, if you look back to 1999 when the ISAs were introduced, the limit was £3,000 then. Over that period of time, it's gone up to 20 grand. It's a lot. And through my career, I have definitely met like people who have got hundreds of thousands of pounds in ISAs. Like I've met a couple of ISA millionaires where they've got £1 million in an ISA. That's just through investment contributions. And bearing in mind, when you take income from an ISA, it's also tax free. So the government can't really allow that to continue if they need a tax take, really. So will they? I don't know. I really don't know. Uh, where can I go to get my book signed? Okay, look. Okay, so right. So let me put this. I will do a separate video on this, asking for this because this will get lost in this stream. So, if you have pre-ordered the book or if you buy the book, please send me like a DM or something letting me know where you are. I know there are a lot of people who watch the channel in London. If there's a ton of you in London or in a certain location, I will do a meetup where I will literally sign all of your books. No problem at all. But I need to know where everybody is. I will happily do that because I think that's the least that I can do. I am thinking about doing something just before the book launch as well, which will give people the opportunity to get a signed copy as well. But I need to square off a few things next week before I go and announce that because I don't want to jump the gun. But there's a couple of things going on at the minute. But look, if you have pre-ordered the book or you buy the book, please let me know where you are because I will arrange like a meetup or something like that where we can all get together, we can talk, maybe go through sections of the book, answer questions live, and I will sign books for people as well, 100%. What I think about this 5% scheme to buy a house, I think the scheme can be good. I think with all good things, that so like opposites, right? So with a 5% deposit, 95% mortgage, you're going to have a really, really high interest rate. And in an environment where interest rates are only going up, you have to then start thinking about affordability. Now, unfortunately, what tends to happen with people when they start looking at the mortgage is they get really, really excited to get on the property ladder and get into the house. They don't fully scrutinize the affordability element. Now, the banks will do part of that for you because obviously they want to make sure that you can keep up the payments, but it's really important that you take personal ownership in this. And the reason for that is, let's just say, for example, and this is what's happened recently is a prime example of this. Let's just say you get into a mortgage, 1.49%, right? That's your rate. You're fixed for the first 5 years. But by the time that 5-year fixed rate ends, and bearing in mind you're at 95% mortgage at this point, so your affordability might already be really, really tight. End of 5 years, your interest rate goes from 1.49 to like 6%. Your payment is going to rocket. Now, if you're in a position where you haven't actually been able to set money aside or build an emergency fund, or you have not been able to increase the amount of money you earn, immediately financial pressure. And that's what is likely going to happen come spring this year as people finish their low fixed rate mortgage and go on to higher rate mortgages. That's what's going to be happening. People are going to find it really, really tough. So a 5% scheme is great to help people get on the market. But I would generally say, look, if you can afford to get just that little bit more in a deposit to help you build a little bit of a cushion in equity and also help you get a better rate offered to you on a mortgage because you've got more deposit going in, then that really should be something that you try to prioritize as much as you can. Um, because look, interest rates are going to continue to rise. So you need to think about the affordability like 5, 6 years, 7 years into the future. Will you still be able to afford it? You don't want to fall into a situation where you're so tight, you're at that limit that an interest rate renewal could literally just really wipe you out or put you under unnecessary financial pressure. Denise saying prefer to listen to the audiobook. Good, great, thank you. Um, thank you very, very much, Northern Rambler. Thank you very, very much. I'll tell you what. If we get onto the Sunday Times bestseller, Jesus, that would be something. It really, really would. It would be something. And yeah, it would be something. It would be really, really something on just more than one level. Just from the journey and the story, it would be amazing for that reason. But also from a Sunday Times bestseller, it catapults the book into other people's hands, and that's the big thing for me. I want to get it into as many people's hands as possible, so that the information and the task and the practical elements of the book help as many people as possible. And so, look, your one order, everyone who's ordered a book so far, literally that goes towards the 3,000. That goes towards pushing onto the Sunday Times bestseller, and it's very much appreciated. Um, I'll be. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know whether I'm ever going to find out what the numbers are. Part of me wants to ask HarperCollins what pre-orders we have, but at the same time, I'm really competitive, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I get this knack and this urge to constantly be looking at the numbers. And if the numbers aren't going as well, it will stress me out. And I don't know that I want to put myself through that. But equally, if the numbers are great, I'm going to be really hyper and really excited. And it will be something I'll talk more and more and more and more and more about. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think I should do. Do you think I should stay abreast with the numbers, or just let it naturally just run its course? I'm a control freak. So part of me is like, you need to know the numbers. You need to know the numbers. But also I know that I have no control over any of it. So that will only make the control freak in me even worse. So I don't know if I don't know if I want to put myself through it like that. It could be exciting though. I'm a sucker for punishment, I tell you. Tyrone, thank you very much, mate. Thank you very, very much. And like I said, look, if I could sign every book, I absolutely will. Does the junior ISA affect your £20,000 allowance? No, it doesn't. Junior ISAs are for your children, so it won't affect your personal allowance of 20,000. So your kid will have a £9,000 ISA allowance to be used specifically in a junior ISA. It doesn't impact your personal allowance of £20,000. Thank you very, very much. Look, guys, thank you so much for this. Really, seriously, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Need to have a good think. I'm 42 currently and going to be in my first houses, so never had to have these insurances before. Looking at the route uh, my mortgage advisor got for me. Yeah, look, you've got a mortgage advisor. That's great. Listen to what they have to say. Ask them questions. Be curious. But yeah, look, really, you want to have those insurances in place. Really, to be honest, mate. Especially if you're 42, because it will be a little bit pricey now. But if you wait another 2, 3, 4 years, it's going to become even more pricey, because what they'll say is, well, you're getting older. And like, listen, I used to be fit as a fiddle, right? Mate, I have like freaking pains all over the place now, and a couple of like chest pains where I thought, oh my God, is my heart giving out? It turned out to be chondritis. But I'm noticing these little things now, and you'll start to notice those things as well. So, the earlier you get them in place, the better it's going to be. Don't wait 2-3 years, mate, because it will just be more expensive. It'll be pricier now than it would have been if you were in your 20s, but you want to try and look at getting something in place. But a mortgage advisor will be able to guide you and help you. Right, I'm just scanning. Bear me 1 second. Okay, I've already covered that one. Evening, videos to view. How you doing? All right, okay. What happens to people's ISA if someone passed away? As I believe it's not like pensions where you get beneficiaries. Um, so basically, if you have an investment ISA, you can definitely add beneficiaries. I mean, it depends on not whether the person has a will. If the person doesn't have a will, then something called the rules of intestate kicks in. So the government gets to decide where the money basically goes. And if nobody, so for example, if someone dies and has no family, it goes to the state. If you have family, you need to have a will. Essentially, you have to have a will to say, look, the money in this account, blah 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 blah, I want it to go to this person. It's an expression of wishes. If that doesn't happen, the state gets to decide. And it's not great, because if you do have, like, I've seen situations where someone's been married, they've separated, they moved on and got a new partner. But this person that they separated from, they're not divorced. So this person is now with a new partner, has been with a new partner for a very, very long time, still not divorced over here, dies whilst with this partner. No will, no nothing. The rules of intestate says, well, the partner that he hadn't divorced is the one who gets all of the assets because there was no will. So you need to have a will. It gets really, really complicated, and the rules of intestate is not something that you want to have to make the decisions for you. So really important. You need to have a will. You definitely need to have a will. Thank you very, very much. Going for my son as well. Thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Um, Someone's saying, let it run its course, Pete. I think I might. Because I know exactly what I'm like. One of the other things, look, I'm not going to talk about this now because I've not done it. I want to do it, and then I'll kind of announce it when it's all done. But there's a lot of stuff that is on the back of the book coming out as well, potentially, if I can make it happen. So I think I might let it run its course. It will do me more damage than good, to be fair. Someone else is saying here, let it run its course. The numbers will speak for itself. I completely agree. We'll make the Sunday Times best list. Look, I hope so. I think so. On LinkedIn, I'm going to post something on tomorrow, actually, because it's Monday. A little bit of help. Obviously, we're going to do media. We're going to do PR work and all that kind of stuff. We're working on that right now. But some of the biggest platforms that are out there are a little out of my reach because of my profile. I'm not a big celebrity. If I was a big, and this is where it becomes counterintuitive. So doing TV for me is very, very weird. It's really, really weird because I'm an introvert. I'm not the kind of person that wants to be center of attention. That's not me at all. But through my career, I have done a lot of public speaking, and obviously I do YouTube, right? And so for what I want to do, for where my passions lie, I have to put my face forward. And I've got to the point where I feel comfortable, but only comfortable to a certain extent. The goal is not to be a celebrity. I don't care about any of that. The thought of, not being able to walk down the street, for me, it's like, it's bonkers. It's mad. Like, okay, look, it's okay to be known and hello, how are you doing, all that kind of stuff. But if it gets to the point where it's just nuts, it's just stupid. I've got no interest in that. So on one side, it's like being a celebrity and being big would really do me a lot of service right now, because the book would just blow up and I'll be able to get on any platform I choose. The reality is I'm not at that level. And so the platforms that I can get on are they're not as big as maybe as I would like, because I want to get the book into as many people's hands as possible, right? But that's gift and the curse, right? That swings and roundabouts. You got to roll with the punches. It is what it is at the end of the day. But I don't know. It's all part of the journey too, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I said it. I think I said it on Instagram the other day. This is already the cherry on top of what has now turned out to be a really beautiful cake. And the sad thing about media and all of this stuff is it can all end in one fell swoop. And if it did, if I could not do any more TV, if I couldn't get on anything in the media at all right now, I would be so happy with the way things have gone. And I would hope that people would look at it and be like, I can do something similar. I could definitely do something similar because it's inspiring, right? And that really that's the goal. That's really what it's all about for me. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day. It is a big goal. And I honestly believe if you don't put this stuff out into the world, then you have no way of making it come true. You've got to speak it, believe it, visualize it, work towards it. Importantly, take the steps towards it. The rest will take care of itself. And that's honestly my belief. That's been my motto. That's been how I've got this far. And if it's worked this far, I'm sure it's going to work for the next steps that I basically take. And we'll see where we are, this time 2024. It may have been a raging success. It may have been an absolute flop in some people's eyes. But even if one person, I mean, look, there's been 4 or 5 people that have already bought the book right here, right now, who will have the book in their hand and will read it and will get some value from it. That is a huge success because I know 100% I don't deserve one person to listen to what I say. I don't. Right? It's by choice. And just the fact that I can have 5 people buy a book and get value from it, that is winning. And that, whilst the numbers are really important and Sunday best times is great and all that kind of stuff because it adds to the story and it will inspire people and impact people, the small things matter. The small things really, really matter. And it's the small steps that I always try to remember to appreciate all of the time. And yeah, that's where we are. I'm scanning. And all right, there's a few more on here. So let me just scan and see because I'm now an hour 32 minutes and we're supposed to be like 45 minutes. Let's have a look and see what we've got. Have I tried IBRK? No, I have not. What does it stand for, mate? I feel like I know what it is, but I'm not too sure. I've seen those initials before, though. Food Dweller. What are you trying to ask, mate? I can see. 1 second, mate. So I've had to put a filter on my comments generally on the channel. So I don't know whether you ever noticed. My comment section is pretty clean. I don't normally have any bots in there. That's because there's a filter on my comments. So certain words will trigger it. And every single day, believe me, I have to go and literally filter 20 to 30 comments every single day. It's an absolute drag. So maybe it's not coming through because there might be a word on the filter. Sorry, mate. There was something asking me. I clicked to show something, but it hasn't come up, mate. I'm sorry. Interactive brokers. I haven't used them. I've not used interactive brokers. I was supposed to do a review on them, but then I just got on to doing other things, really, to be fair. It might be one that I will do, possibly, maybe. But I haven't used them. I haven't looked at them or anything like that. I know they're quite expensive in comparison to some other people. They're like AJ Bell, quite expensive as well. So I haven't really used them. Tool Brothers, how you doing? You say you got a question. What is your question, bud? Don't watch the numbers. You will get paranoid. That is true because that is definitely my personality trait. I will obsess over those things. What's Munchy saying here? What's your current investment approach, i.e. value investing or individual companies or pound cost averaging into low cost ETFs or anything else? my investment approach hasn't changed. I am still using the core satellite approach. So I'm still investing in the main ETFs and index funds that I've got, and I'm still holding my individual stocks. I am not adding to any of my individual stock positions at this point in time. I'm literally just holding as they are. So that hasn't changed. If I'm honest, I could be more proactive and actually pick in a few companies. But even if I were to throw more money in, and I've got cash, like I've said, but there's stuff coming down the line in the next 6 to 8 months, which I need capital for, which I've been planning capital for. If those don't happen, then it's either I go buy to let properties or I just invest a load of money, but it will be across the entire portfolio. So I wouldn't smash a load of money just into one company, not even Tesla at this point. I would invest it across my strategy. So into the index funds and ETFs that I hold, and equally, or maybe spread unevenly across my individual stocks. But I'm not necessarily looking at specific strategies at this point in time, although I am keeping an eye on the market quite a bit and holding cash. um, so let me just get this. Tall brother is actually a troll. Hey, dude, listen. If you're still on here and you're paying attention, mate, I'll be off here in a minute. But I don't know how long you've been on here for, but listen, you spent time, so thank you. Right? I hope it's not a waste of time on your part though, because it hasn't been a waste of time for me to be on here. Interacting with people. But seriously, you probably could find something else to do that would be better time spent for you. Does the two tech index fund investing model work in the UK? The two tech index fund, the two tech two. Explain this to me. Explain this to me, please, Pablo. It's not something that I've heard of. It's not something that I've heard of. Unless it's called something that I know of, but I've not come across that term. But I've not come across that term before, so I don't really know what you're referencing there. I tried all the apps and I've now settled with Interactive Broker, great research, cheap commissions, and in specie ISA transfer support. Okay, good. Maybe I will have a look at them. Let's follow up. Food Dweller, finally, we're here together again in 2020. Hope this live stream will continue every Sunday because I'm learning a lot from Pete. When he announced that he's going to stop, I was sad. No, this is purely going to be about time more than anything else and just schedule. Like I said, it takes a lot of time, and I do enjoy doing these. Don't get me wrong, I really, really do. But if I were to be honest, my missus is upstairs right now. I could be spending the time with her, just chilling out, or just doing some other work. But I spend it here, and so sometimes I have to be mindful, particularly when there's a busy week ahead. I mean, next week is pretty busy, but it's not as busy as some of the weeks that I have had. And previously, it was kind of like, okay, live streams, an hour and a half every Sunday. It's a lot. It's taking time away from my missus and stuff like that. So I'll try and do as many of these as I possibly can, mate. I am doing more live streams now, more than edited videos, because it just means I can put out more content. And I guess it's more organic as well, which I think a lot of people have kind of queued into like. So we'll see what happens, mate. Cullen, just tuned in. Thoughts on housing market? My partner and I want to invest in a property / buy to rent. It's hard. Well, look, I think if you look at the forecast, and I did do a video on this a couple of weeks ago, where I looked at the housing market specifically. And I don't know, can I find? I have got the tab open. Where was I looking for this? I can't find it on here. Look, I think we are going to see a dip in the housing market. I think it's going to be heavily depending on where you're looking to buy, though. I think London will have a bit of a hit, but I don't think it will take a hit as much as other parts of the country. And so within that, there will be an opportunity for first-time buyers or people who are looking to invest for sure, especially if you've got cash. It's going to be a cash buyer's market. But then again, I am not a property expert, so I can't give you an in-depth view. But, on that video, I did have a look at the housing market specifically in the forecast for this year, based on some of the data that has come out centrally. So it'd be worthwhile going to check that video if let me just see if I can actually find it for you, so I can show you the thumbnail, so you know which one to look for, mate. One sec. It was a live stream as well. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. So you want to have a look at. Wrong one. What am I doing? You want this video right here. House price forecasts. So 2023 housing collapse, UK house prices. You want to have a look at that video right there, mate. Go and check that out. It's a live stream. It's 20 minutes roughly, but I go through a lot of data that we've seen that has been publicly put out. Go and have a look at that, because that will give you a little bit more context. But again, bearing in mind, look, I'm not a property expert. I know some really good property people. I will get one of them on a live stream. But everyone, it's time to get everyone on, especially if it's going to be a Sunday evening or something like that. So, yeah. All right, let's get rid of that. Let me just scan quickly, because I still need to do some stuff tonight before I start in the morning. Nice conversation going on. Yeah, Jay just said here, thinking about wills is strange. Yes, I know. Trust me, it is very, very strange, but you want to get it done, really. I mean, because there are situations where I've seen people have weird things happen. So, speaking to someone about it and getting one in place is really, really important. I like that. Gives a lot by his name. He needs to go to Screw Fix and get his brain fixed. Look, you're always going to have trolls at some point anyway. So, here it is. Someone's saying, could you bring Ralik back on? He was on last week. I will reach out to him actually and see if I can get an update from him, get him on. I will reach out to him on Instagram today, see what he's up to. All right, guys. A lot of questions, a lot of comments, a lot of interaction. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. Yes, guys, really, really exciting time right now. I will be doing videos through the week. I'm in London on Tuesday. I do have a video already prepped for Tuesday. I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow evening. There's a couple of things that we do need to talk about, which are kind of there in the radar. I just need to do a little bit of research for the live stream. But we'll talk tomorrow. There will be a video on Tuesday. Wednesday, I might be on. Thursday, I will not, because I'm on packed lunch, so that's all the way in Leeds, and getting back in time, it's a rush. Actually, I won't be able to do one on Wednesday night because I've got to travel to Leeds for Thursday morning. So you'll probably see me Monday, Friday next week. But I appreciate all of you. This has been a really good stream. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who supported the book and the continued support. Have a good evening and have an even better week. Catch you in a bit.